Good evening, welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Swati Kundra. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Monday, the 14th of December. Afghan security forces kill over a dozen Taliban militants in counter-insurgency operation. Sunni group Lashkar-e-Jhangvi claims responsibility for Pakistan market bombing. And Christian community in South Asia rejoices as Christmas season sets in. And now for all the details, the hardcore Sunni militant group Lashkar-e-Jhangvi has claimed responsibility for the terror attack in Parachinar city of northwest Pakistan on Sunday, which killed 24 people and wounded dozens others.
The incident took place when a device containing explosives ripped through a busy market of Eidgah in Parachinar on Sunday. While most of the shoppers got killed or wounded in the blast, others died or got injured in the stampede that followed. Authorities say the death toll is likely to go up as many are in a critical condition in the hospital. Parachinar has a large Shiite population in the Sunni-dominated Pakistan. Lashkar-e-Jhangvi, a Sunni militant group which has been active in the area, has claimed responsibility for the deadly explosion. According to reports, the attack was carried out against the Shia elements who were supporting Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and the Iranian government. The Shia Muslim minority has often come under targeted attack by the extremist Sunni groups in Pakistan.
Top leaderships from Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan and India jointly inaugurated the Tapi gas pipeline project in the Turkmenistan city of Meri. The $10 billion pipeline project will carry gas from Turkmenistan through Afghanistan to Pakistan and India. A report.
Turkmenistan on Sunday started work on its part of the Tapi gas pipeline designed to reduce its dependence on gas sales to Russia and China. The pipeline will transport gas from the fields in Turkmenistan's Galkan-Yesh to Herat and Kandahar province in Afghanistan and Multan in Pakistan before entering India at Fazilka in Punjab. The inauguration ceremony of the Trans-Regional Energy Project was attended by Indian Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari, Afghan President Ashraf Ghani, Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and Turkmenistan President Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov. The top leaders welcomed the move aimed at promoting trade and economic ties in the region.
In this project will ensure that Afghanistan, Pakistan and India will all have a positive carbon footprint. Congratulations on moving the first goal point.
But the Tapi project faces few challenges, including the deteriorating security situation in Afghanistan and lack of clarity about its financing.
We must work together with resolve to ensure that negative forces inimical to the success of the project are addressed in an appropriate manner. In doing so, we must recognize that the forces of violence and disruption can no longer be allowed to threaten the quest for economic development and security of our people.
The project is due to be completed by December 2019 and would have a capacity of 33 billion cubic meters. It may help pave the path for better diplomatic relations between the South Asian countries.
Moving on to news from Afghanistan, the Afghan security forces have killed at least 19 Taliban fighters in an ambush in Ab-Band district of southern Ghazni province late on Sunday. According to officials, these militants were armed with heavy weapons and were planning to conduct attacks in Karabagh district of the province. 2 local Taliban commanders were among the militants killed. Security forces did not suffer any casualty. Several weapons, machine guns and 2 vehicles were confiscated after the ambush. India has hailed the Paris Climate Summit deal to limit global warming. In a major breakthrough, 195 nations agreed on for a blueprint to successfully cut down on emissions.
India Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar on Monday said climate justice and environment won at Paris Summit after a landmark deal was reached to limit global warming. The Global Climate Summit in Paris, after the 2 weeks of rigorous negotiations, forged the agreement on Saturday that proposes limiting global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius and making developed nations commit $100 billion a year from 2020 to help developing countries.
Climate justice has won. Environment has won. Future generations have got promise that they will get much better earth. This time, the whole world is united and a robust action plan is decided.
The pact received positive response from almost 200 nations. Javadekar said it was significant that the world recognized India's concern.
India's concerns are met and we are really happy that we could achieve our national targets also, but more importantly, our environmental targets. That's the promise to the future generations.
India is the fourth largest emitter of carbon in the world and uses coal as a main source to produce power. The Narendra Modi government has set ambitious goal of receiving 40% of its power from renewable resources, focusing on solar power, setting target to develop 100 gigawatt of solar power capacity by 2022.
Staying on news from India, riding on the back of a robust growth in consumer products and capital goods during the festive season, India's industrial output has rocketed to a 5-year high in October. As measured by the Index of Industrial Production, output surged 9.8% in October, suggesting the economy may finally be picking up pace. Although part of the spurt is due to a favorable base effect, the growth is the fastest since October 2010 and much higher than the upwardly revised 3.8% in September and the expectation of around 7.5%. The favorable base effect, negative growth of 2.7% last October, also magnified this year's number. Due to lack of private investment, unemployment prevails in Gilgit-Baltistan that is causing discontent among the youth. Locals claim that the government has shown no political will to attract investors. A report.
Youth of Gilgit-Baltistan are highly dependent on government for jobs, as the region has not witnessed any private industrial activities for years. But rampant corruptions within government departments is adding to the woes of these unemployed youth, as undeserving people from outside are taken on payroll on the basis of personal contacts, claim locals.
डिपेंड वो गवर्नमेंट जॉब पर होता है, लेकिन गवर्नमेंट के पास इतना पैसा है जॉब दे दे। गिलगित-बल्तिस्तान में कोई प्राइवेट फैक्ट्री नहीं है, ये भी एक बड़ी वजह है कि वो जो ना वो बेरोजगारी में इजाफा हो रहा है और गवर्नमेंट के पास इतनी जॉब नहीं है।
Despite having resources, the government has shown no political will to build proper infrastructure in the region to attract investments. Locals claim that even if companies show willingness to work in the region, the government shows no enthusiasm to provide assistance to them.
चाइनीज़ इन्वेस्टर आए भी थे गिलगित-बल्तिस्तान में, उन्होंने यहाँ पे वज़ीर तामीरात से भी बात की। उनका चाइनीज़ इन्वेस्टर का जो ना महकमे बरक़ियात और मिनरल पे काम करना चाहते हैं, लेकिन अगर गवर्नमेंट इनको जो ना एप्लीकेशन दे दे, दरख्वास्त दे दे तो ये फिर जो ना काम करेंगे।
People in Gilgit-Baltistan, which was annexed by Pakistan illegally, have been waiting for years for a better administration that could work for the region's development and provide employment to the youth.
Meanwhile, in Nepal, the months-long protest by the ethnic Madhesi community has not only choked the country of its essential items, it has also affected the tourism sector in the country. A report.
The vital tourism sector in Nepal that drives the country's economy in a major way has been hit hard due to the ongoing protests by the Madhesi community. The Madhesis have been protesting for months against the newly adopted constitution that divides the country into 7 federal states. The minority Madhesi community claims that the new charter discriminates against them and is demanding the reshaping of borders. Nepal is home to Mount Everest, the highest mountain in the world, and many old temples, monasteries, and palaces listed as World Heritage Sites by UNESCO. The number of tourists in the country has drastically dropped ever since the protest began.
This is a huge crisis in our inside the Nepal, and in Pokhara especially all the members of the restaurants haven't closed their restaurants and they have run their business as usual. Even there is a huge crisis of diesel and gas.
हाम्रो 1000 को हाराहारीमा प्रतिदिन गाडी यहाँबाट सञ्चालन हुने गर्थ्यो जनकपुर अञ्चल बस व्यवसायी सङ्घको 500 देखि 600 बस यताबाट र 506 देखि उताबाट अधिराज्यबाट आउने जाने गाडीहरू यहाँबाट सञ्चालित थियो.
Tourists are also complaining about increase in costs in accommodation and transportation.
A little more expensive when you travel, for example. So before, it was only 700 to come from Kathmandu. Now they ask you for 1,000. If you take jeep also in the Annapurna region, so it's a little more expensive.
Several rounds of negotiations between the government and protest leaders have failed amid differences over reshaping the borders. About 50 people have died in protests that began in September.
The Christmas festivities are everywhere. In South Asia too, the festive spirit is catching up amongst the Christian community who are gearing up for the big day.
Christians across South Asia are soaked into the festivity of Christmas season. The Christian community, which forms a minority group in the region, is observing the festival with religious fervour. In Pakistan's city of Lahore, Christmas trees and cakes added to the festive delight as men, women and children dressed as Santa Claus marched through the streets to spread the message of peace.
जब क्रिसमस आता है तो अमन और सलामती का पैगाम लेकर आता है, तो इसीलिए हम आज क्रिसमस की खुशियां सबके साथ बांट रहे हैं और रैली निकालने का ये मकसद है कि पाकिस्तान में पुरअमन पुरसलामती हो.
Things are no different in neighbouring India, where Christmas carols and church services are setting in the Christmas season.
In order to promote ecumenism and bringing different denominations of Christians come together, YMCA Ernakulam and YWCA Ernakulam have been organizing ecumenical Christmas carol for the last 50 years. This year, around 12 choirs of different churches are participating.
With only few days left for Christmas, the festive mood in the region is soaring to reach its crescendo.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. Afghan security forces kill over a dozen Taliban militants in counter-insurgency operation. Sunni group Lashkar-e-Jhangvi claims responsibility for Pakistan market bombing. And Christian community in South Asia rejoices as Christmas season sets in. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.